Chinatown and San Francisco became a hotbed. And they misrepresented the entire situation. No one had the information we needed to be able to address this situation in an earlier fashion. So gyms were against travel bans. They were telling people to go out in late February, early March. And so the apathy to the threat was bipartisan because we didn't have the info.
Right, and nobody did. Milan, in Italy, still went forward with Fashion Week in February.
Right.
London, Paris, they all did theirs too. Brings in 250,000 people. They still all went forward with it. Same with all of their other events that they still hosted. Because...
Okay. Ruby, stop.
It's okay. Just wash your hands. Just be careful, and you can still go out. You can still do everything else. Like, just because they were saying that doesn't mean that they were somehow bad too or whatever. We were all kind of saying that. That was across the board. But the rewriting as if like they took it seriously and Trump did it, and Trump was focused on his impeachment, and well, hello, who was doing the impeaching? So of course everybody was focused on impeachment. I mean, there was no one here that was taking it as seriously as it is, and the second suggesting measures that could have maybe stopped the spread in the United States, and I don't think we could have stopped it completely at all, but would have stopped, slowed it some. The second that he started introducing some of those measures, they freaked out and fought him because they just have to, because Orange Man bad.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I wish I had heard all of that. I wish everybody had heard all of that. Jen, you talk faster than anybody I know, I think. Or you can when you want to. And apologies for the
accent.
Yeah, we got right. We've got continuing technical difficulties. Not real sure. It's different things at different times tonight, so I'm monitoring. But yeah, I couldn't agree more, Jen. And it's absolutely crazy. And impeaching Trump over this is.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Are y'all saying?
The company director had to go to the consulate and get them to turn it back on. This is a Broadway tour in China, an international Broadway tour. It's like cream of the crop. And he had to, the company director and the choreographer and producer of the show had to go to the consulate and get them to go on behalf of the Chinese to get his phone turned back on. So instead of turning his phone back on, they actually wiped out the whole company. So we had no contact for several weeks.
It's just crazy.
And they finally convinced them, they appealed, and they put them all back on, but with a warning. Because they're monitoring everything they're saying. It's just, it's insane.
If you guys have not, go to, I know Lou tweeted it this morning, and it's a video of right now in China with your iPhone, how they track you. It is just, it's really freaky. It's so Orwellian. So they know exactly where you're at all times, between the facial recognition of all the cameras and between your phone. They know what you're purchasing. If you happen to be next to somebody that came up positive for coronavirus, you get an immediate text to your phone, and it tells you whether or not you have to lock down for 2 weeks, and you have to lock down for 2 weeks.
And if you're wondering if Trump is really the authoritarian that they say that he is, someone asked him about that sort of thing for this country, because it's like they use geofencing to do it. I won't get into that because that's another show on this network, by the way, on Monday nights at 10 o'clock. But they use geofencing to do it. We have the capability to do it in this country. They could do the same thing to us. They asked Trump about it, and he said, yeah, no, that doesn't sound very nice to me. I don't think we won't be doing that. So he's not the authoritarian that they say he is, obviously.
Well, that's the thing, is this whole time they've talked about how he was like one step away from taking sweeping power and not allowing elections and all this stuff. He's literally Hitler. And then if there was ever a time for an authoritarian figure to make a power grab. It's in a crisis when people will be okay with it and people will go along with it. Not
Right.
red-blooded Americans like us, of course, but overall they will, and a lot of the political elite will be okay with it too. And that's part of what they're criticizing him for, is not being authoritarian enough. And you see where this does happen. You've got an authoritarian type leader that is kind of disguised as, or very thinly veiled as, a democratic leader in Hungary, and
Yes.
they just gave him all the power, and he took it, and it is unlimited right now. There is no time restriction. I've had some people in my mentions that are like, oh no, but there's still these protections. There's still bullshit. Let me tell you, when you let someone, I'm not saying that he is going to do it, but when you let someone like that, who has already been of concern to the Western world, to the EU, to other coalitions they're in because of the creeping increases in power that he's been taking, and more harsher leaning too, then when you let someone like that take advantage of a crisis like this, you better bet that they are going to hold on to that with all their might. He was already doing it with the refugee crisis, where it was deemed a crisis about 3 years ago. It was only supposed to last and be temporary. He's had them renew it because he holds 2/3 majority. So he's had them renew it over and over again, even though they're out of the crisis, because it allows him certain powers and privileges that it wouldn't if it went away. So it's just delusional. Like, that's not what's happening here. And if there was ever a time for him to be able to do it, it's when the Democrats are screaming for him to take it.
Yes,
Right.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, and he could, and that's what I've been, like, people are doing things that are opening doors, right, for him, for Trump to exercise some of those extra presidential powers that he has under the Stafford Act and under the Emergency Powers Act or something like that. Some like
Right.
rider is connected to the Stafford Act, I think mentioned or referenced in the Stafford Act, but he has extra powers that they've collected along the way that they can use in times like this. Like, for instance, and I had promised that I was going to research like this, but I believe, and the chat room can correct me if anybody in there knows if I'm wrong, but I believe that the unions that are striking right now can probably be busted by him for striking during an emergency, or he can at least make it really, really difficult for them. So I mean, he could be doing things with this emergency like that. We don't have the trap doors in our Constitution that the former Soviet satellites do, but there's a few. He could be doing a lot of stuff that he's not doing. He's not doing it because he doesn't believe in it, but they want him to seem like he's the opposite of what he really is.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they vacillate between wanting him to be a complete dictator and then screaming, why are you, being a dictator? How dare you shut down, quarantine New York City? That's not right. And then, the next minute, why aren't you asking governors to shut everything down?
Right. Well, he can't.
Or why aren't you
New York City
giving a federal mandate to shut everything down?
Exactly. So, very, very, very frustrating.
But I think this kind of leads into the whole thing of just how the media is covering this and handling this. They're letting the Democrats get away with rewriting the history. They're allowing for the narrative to still be that Trump is a bumbling fool that is also somehow he's a complete bumbling fool, but he's also somehow like a wizard of a dictator that is puppet mastering everything and all for his own interests and for the interests of his cronies.
Right.
And they're still letting that go forward by the things by even, that whole thing of like, take authority, don't take authority, take authority, don't take authority. And then, and then they're whining and going, well, why wasn't he covering this enough? Why wasn't he giving us enough info? Now he's doing daily pressers and they say, this is crap. It's just free campaign ads for him. So we're done. We're not going to show him anymore.
Today I was in a back and forth, and this is why people keep saying I should change my @ to have something to do with Jay Rodriguez. But anyway, so my mentions are all about how we're banned. Stop! Don't watch the pressers. Don't watch him. Stop watching. What did they say? Blackout Trump or whatever, media silence. They just keep going on and on. My response is always, would you rather get the information with your own two eyes and listen with your own two ears, or have people interpret it for you? I can't understand not wanting to hear it with your own two ears, no matter which president it is.
Well, see, this is how I consume news. I like to see it, and then I like to go read and listen to other people interpret it.
Yes.
But first I want to see it so that I'm in the frame of mind when I do go to read something else to go, oh, they read that totally different than me. And sometimes that makes me go BS, and sometimes it makes me think and go, whoa, did I really just not take that right? Did I not read that the way it was supposed to be, or hear that the way it was supposed to be? So that's the way a normal person approaches the kind of news consumption. I mean, yes, we all kind of do the headline thing and we scroll and read what's on the news feed real quick. But, when it's something as important as this and something that you really want the info for and you really need to be informed about, I don't understand not to advise people not to watch it just because you don't like him.
I think it's nuts. And just like, for instance, I have been curious what the hell is going on with tests. Why is it, supposedly we have all these tests out there. Why aren't they testing? Everyone that you talk to says, they said I can't get a test. We don't have any tests. That seems to be the main question they keep asking. And I was so glad Dr. Birx said yesterday, well, I don't understand it. There are 500,000 tests out there in the state that the different states have. We are frustrated that they're not using them. Well, had I not watched that and not heard her with my own two ears, I wouldn't have known that.
Right. And so we've been trying to watch them since we're at home anyway. So we've been trying to watch them every day. But the other thing that we're doing is when we do miss it, because inevitably, like the dog needs to go for a walk. Or the kid needs something. And these things are lasting 2 hours,
God, yeah.
I can't be held hostage that long. I'm already imprisoned. So but what we are doing is that whenever there is something said that's like a clip, like kind of our nightly routine is like husband and I will go look at, we will go find the clip to find where that was said and see if it is being represented correctly or not. But I think it's just completely irresponsible of the media that claims to be like the protectors. They claim to be the firefighters. They claim to be the ones that are going to, be at the forefront, getting us all of the best information. I think it is just absolutely disrespectful and irresponsible to say we're not going to carry the president. And I think the comparison to it being like the campaign in 2016 where he got so much free time. Well, he was a candidate then, and absolutely y'all gave him so much free TV time. He didn't need campaign ads, and that's your own dang fault because you thought it was hilarious and you thought that was gonna help you, and instead it bit you in the butt and he got elected. Well, now he's the president of the freaking United States during a global pandemic. To be like, we're not going to show his presser because it's free campaign time is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, and it's wrong. That's wrong. It would be wrong if it's Obama in office. That's wrong with anybody. People are scared. I mean, people are really scared. I can't tell you how many of my friends that are like, what's going on? Like they just don't follow the news as closely because they're either still having to work or they are doing homeschooling now. I mean, everybody's doing online school. And they will say, like, we have to be here until April 30th in our homes. Like, people are going crazy to have your president explain what's going on. I just think that's helpful. That's not a campaign rally.
Right. And I think it's helpful too explaining like what's happening in these places that, the media are making sound so incredibly scary. The kind of ground zero is in New York City, of course. And, talking about what they are doing to help the city and to try to keep this from getting out of control there. Because it was just a disaster from the get-go. When you have those international hubs like that, it's just going to be that way. I am sorry, unless we had shut down travel from certain regions back in October or November, it was inevitable that it was going to spread. And then New Yorkers got scared and they fled and they spread it all over the country. I'm not saying they're the only ones that did. I'm just saying there was a whole lot of that happened.
They're the main,
and I have some
main
sympathy
ones
for
that
that
did.
because I lived in New York and I lived there right after 9/11. And your instinct in times of tragedy and crisis is to go when that's not the place that is your like hometown, your instinct is to go, I'm going home to my parents, or I'm going to my sisters, or I'm going to my best friends that's out of this war zone, basically.
Right.
That is your instinct. That is your human drive, is to go, get in the hell out of Dodge. But in this case, when it's a virus, it was absolutely the wrong thing to do. So I understand the sentiment, and I know why early on a lot of people did, and they fled in fear. But unfortunately, that ended up being pretty tragic for the rest of the region, and flooding into the rest of the United States.
Yeah, and I wish that people would realize, though, that this is a disaster, right? So, but I mean, they never do, of course, because the thing that's frustrating to me and people like me that have done this kind of work and that are having to do this kind of work now is that during Hurricane Sandy, we couldn't get those fuckers to leave for anything. They wouldn't go anywhere. Now they want to go. They want to spread this around, right? And the other thing about that, this is a disaster. When the thing that they're doing that is absolutely per the plan, that was a great part of the plan and shouldn't be changed, and I'm glad they didn't change it, is that it was always part of the plan that all of the messaging and the updates and the numbers and all of this shit would be coming from the governors and the president. And the president would be having the daily press conferences unless he chose not to run them and gave it to the incident commander, who I can just go ahead and tell you is Mike Pence. Mike Pence is, for all intents and purposes, the incident commander. He has a military incident commander.
I think he's been doing a great job, too.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He has a military incident commander that is running the operation for him, but he is the chief. He's the chief on that operation. And they are having press conferences, as they should, in a global pandemic situation. The information, the president is opening. He's staying there with the team. This is exactly how it is supposed to happen. And for the media, this is infuriating to me. For the media to say, we want you to stop running these press conferences that are part of a disaster plan. The first time in the history of this country that all 50 friggin' states are involved in the same disaster.
Right.
And they want to stop running the press conferences. Infuriating to me. Okay, stop running them. That's fine, because the local stations are still running them.
Yes.
Nobody is watching MSNBC. Nobody's watching, and that's the thing. It's the other stations are NBC and CBS, and anyway, and I mean CNN is just killing their ratings even more than they have already, which I'm not sure they could do much worse. So
here's the other thing about the press conferences, though, that I don't understand with the people that are complaining about them. The only time that it gets into more of kind of typical Trump mode, like Trump tweeting or Trump at a rally or whatever, is when the reporters come at him with completely dumbass questions and ones that are repetitive as all get out. Because until then, it's from doctors, it's from attorneys, it's from companies that are helping, it's from Pence who's orchestrating everything, it's from Trump and his understanding and people he's talked to and relaying the messages coming from various governors. I mean, it's very business. It's not at all.
They're doing it on purpose, Jen. They're doing it on purpose.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I mean, that's the thing, is if you didn't know that, if you didn't watch them, and then you just saw the sound bites and you saw them whining about how he's going after the press and how like he's spreading this, misinformation. If you had not actually watched one of these, then you might think he is, running it and operating like a rally, and that's not at all what's happening. It's very, very professional and extremely informative and businesslike. And then it gets to the questions, and he says things like, "Yeah, you're fake news. I don't want to talk to you," or like, "Because you're stupid." And da da da.
Well,
like,
today was awesome.
That's Trump.
Today was awesome because Acosta wanted to go back and, well, if we'd have done this earlier, well, if Trump would have acted earlier, well, if the administration would have acted earlier. And Dr. Fauci basically said, he did a great job. So he basically looked at him and basically knock it off.
Mhm.
So
They think that they think that he and Dr. Briggs, he thinks that all these people, they're usually experts, that all these people did respect. That's what some of these media and the elites are saying. Like, they used to respect these people, and they think that they've just been fallen under Trump's spell, or he's doing something to them to make them act this way and agree with him. I mean, come on. And they call Alex Jones tinfoil. You think that's what these people are doing, really?
No, but
they're
have you
being
seen
bribed to agree with him, or being bribed to say certain things, or they're being blackmailed? Give me a freaking break.
Has anybody other than
dumb.
me been watching Cuomo's press conferences?
I watch him.
There is hardly, tell me, Jody, his style, his delivery, the rambling, the analogies, the saying shit you probably shouldn't say, all of that, Cuomo does the exact same thing. I mean, if you just add a little bit different attitude, not better or worse, Trump's attitude is better because he said yesterday, I'm a cheerleader for the country. That's the God's honest truth. There's no lie about that. Cuomo, not so much. But they're the same. They're New Yorkers. That's it. Cuomo is just like him, except that he has less energy.
Well, also, because Cuomo's kind of doing this thing, they're usually sitting down. They've got, all this stuff spread out and blah, 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 blah. And so it's a little bit more like holding court or testifying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it does come off. I think they're doing that on purpose, too, because I think there's a little bit of that does make some people think that it seems a little bit more like a part of his working day. Whereas with Trump, they think it's just media time, just TV time. It's just superficial. And with Cuomo, this is obviously he's got the papers in front of him. He's making notes. He's looking at other people. He's passing the mic off. And it's it's all kind of orchestrated in a way to look like it's kind of more a part of what he should be doing than just a stand up at the podium presser.
I don't know where the sit down press conference came from. I really don't like it. I see a lot of the governors doing it. De Blasio is doing it. I don't know where it came from. I've never seen a disaster press conference that way. Pat McCrory never did. I've never been on a disaster where they ever did them that way. It's certainly not the FEMA style. It's not the disaster style. It's not the way. I mean, you sit down at a press conference in a disaster and the entire audience is going, why are they sitting? I'm out here working. Everybody working that disaster is going, why is he's sitting down? I haven't sat down in 16 fucking hours. Why is he sitting down? You don't do that. But nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that.
I do just think, though, it's on purpose because I think they're trying to make it as if he's working from his governor's desk and he's still multitasking or something.
That's stupid because the people working the disaster are going, I haven't sat down in 16 hours. Why are you sitting down?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a little, I don't know.
It's a little crazy. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll discuss. Is Cuomo, does he have nipple rings? I mean, seriously. What is up with that?
We're going to talk about, okay.
Auntie Vodka is going to join us when we come back, and stay tuned.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
We are back, and we have Auntie Vodka here with us, and we are posing the question to her. What do you think? Was Cuomo wearing nipple rings?
Rings, no. But, and I'm not a huge expert on the nipple piercing whatnot. I sort of like mine just the way God made them. But that dude definitely, that is not misshapen nipples through the shirt. That's some freaky deaky barbell nipple whatever. And now I understand.
It did look like barbells. Yeah.
Now I understand why Sandra Lee Semi-Homemade might have gotten out of Dodge. And I don't know if the audience knows that Andrew and Sandra Lee Semi-Homemade, tablescapes, jug of booze, and opening a can. I don't know if everybody knows they were married, but then they weren't in the last couple of years.
I didn't think they were married.
Okay. I don't know if maybe they were Ilhan Omar married, like spiritually. But they were like a thing. And then,
yeah, they were a thing. They were definitely a thing.
But yeah, those are bars.
Yeah, I've looked at all the. I can't believe I've spent so much time looking at the nipples, but I have. Because I'm like, well, because like Lou said before we came out, like, is it a Photoshop? No, there's so many angles. There's so many photos out there taken from so many different people. I don't know what the hell this is, but it is. Yeah,
and it's not like he's Adam Levine. It's not like he's like a 32-year-old smoking hot guy where you're like, yeah, that's cool. I'd still hit
whatever.
It. He's like mid-50s, early 60s, whatever. Like governor of New York, dude. Really?
Well, see, then I go to the whole. Then I think, and guess what? Now he's been covered up after that. But then I go to like, God, is he like into the whole 50 Shades of Grey stuff? Because then that's what I'm thinking about instead of listening to his words. And
that leads us down a whole different path, which is problematic.
But then that's why I'm like, but then I go, we were just talking in the last segment about how his pressers and everything, like he's got such low energy and he's so like monotone and it's hard. Like I'm going to fall asleep trying to keep up with this. Even if I'm going to like write an article about it, I can't do it. And, but
getting
so
spankings the night before really kind of takes a lot out of you.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, so it's kind of interesting. Like if that's his alter ego personality or his, sex personality, then it's very a very interesting contrast with his day-to-day.
If any of you have seen Billions, he's got maybe a little something going on the night before. It takes a lot out of you, the whipping and the and the heels and the cigarette burns and whatever. I mean, I haven't been there, but I'm just guessing.
Now I want to throw up.
I know.
Oh my God.
Honestly, looking at the nipple thing, just zooming in as everybody has.
Well, and they're already
this
a dad
something
bod.
About Andrew Cuomo. I really felt like I did not ever need to know.
Right.
I can't wait till they nominate him for the Dem nomination. You think he's still going to get that, or maybe his star has fallen?
I don't know, but I love Federalist JC in the chat said, I want Trump to address Cuomo's nipples. It's not something I would do, but good for him. I'm sure they're fabulous nipples.
I'm sure they're fabulous nipples. They're perfect. It was a perfect nipple.
Many people are talking about them. The best.
I know Andrew Cuomo. He's a friend of mine. He has the perfect nipples. They are perfect nipples.
With his hands, like he's squeezing his nipples.
Right.
How he does
with the little hand. He's got perfect nipples.
Like, are you squeezing the nipple?
It makes me wonder about Bill de Blasio, and I'm picturing like ball gag, leather underwear, and these are thoughts I don't want to have about these two guys who run a city that is like part of my heart. I'm a little like, what the hell is even happening in this simulation that we're all clearly living in?
Well, it is crazy. And speaking of de Blasio, what in the hell? There was 1,000 people, they said, at least 1,000 people that showed up to watch the naval ship come in, the hospital, and no cops, nobody breaking that up. How is
all the
New York on a shutdown?
Coronavirus, they're all sick and crap.
That's
like 13% of the force is sick because, de Blasio. And the other lady with the, go to the parade or you're a racist. Go for Chinese food or you're racist.
Hug a nation. Hug a nation.
That's not infantilizing at all.
Is that crazy? Hug an Asian. So my daughter is Asian. And I said to her, there was a hashtag and it was hug an Asian. She said, anybody tries to hug me? Like, are you like, she like looked terrified. Like, are you kidding me?
I can see her face.
I know. She's like, what the?
Tell your daughter I sent her a virtual hug in a non-infantilizing sort of way. Like, how ridiculous is that whole thing?
Oh, God, it's so ridiculous.
That sit there and spout all day long how much equality and not racism and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, they will single you out for anything. They're like, oh, you're Asian. We have to pamper and coddle you now because something happened in a country you've never even lived in.
Right.
So, but you're Asian, so you must, we must have to protect you and hug you because we're idiots and we don't know any better.
It happened to one of my employees. Like people were seriously like, hey man.
Hugging them and crap?
Like, I'm sorry everybody's being so racist against you. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody is. First of all, we're in Austin, Texas, so that's just kind of not a thing.
Right.
Like, second of all, I mean, and we work downtown, so it's like the most like hippy-dippy liberal there is. So he's like, what? And we just have these two guys that are like so anti-Trump, and they just like, they can't help but talk about it all the time. They're so condescending, and they're just such
bringing in Asian guy. Let me hug you. Let me hug it out. Dude's like, dude, get away from me. What's wrong with you?
He's like, we're so embarrassed that our president is like bringing such discrimination against you and your people. And he immediately goes, my people. Like what? He's like, I'm raised in California. Come on.
Somebody's a racist here, but it isn't Trump.
Oh my God. So funny. Afterwards, He's like, my God. He's like, Jen, can I have a drink? Am I allowed to drink? Can I have a drink? And I'm like, absolutely. Let me pour you one. He's like, no, can we go somewhere else? I don't want to be around these douchebags. But, they don't even hear themselves. They don't even see because all this wokeness, all this PC crap, it's completely blinded them to the fact that they are the ones that are being, prejudiced. And because they use racist all the time, they mostly mean prejudice. But they are the ones being that, not the other way. No, I'm not saying there's not those on the right. Of course there are. There's those. It's human.
There's like 5 or 6 of them, and they're none of us.
And they're none
they're none of us. They're literally 5 or 6 guys in a basement somewhere, like those Asian brothers. Like that's none of us. No one's looking at Asian people going, "Oh, you brought disease." This isn't 1652. They didn't show up with smallpox blankets. Listen, I want you to do me a favor with your friend at work. And this is probably pandering, and I don't give a crap. But I want you to take him out for a beer and be like, this other white lady, because, we're all a club. We're all white ladies. We're all a club. This white lady wanted me to buy you a beer for reparations or whatever it is that you prefer to drink. And I am assuming that your friend will totally laugh and understand why that's so funny.
He's not what I would consider a conservative by any means, but he's totally a shoot me straight kind of person. And he looks at stuff and he thinks that everyone's so full of shit, which he's right. They are. So, but he doesn't buy into that crap. He didn't buy into it at all. But it was really funny because then after a little bit, someone was like, oh man, he's like, I can't remember. Is your family ancestry Chinese? And he's like, I'm from fucking South Korea, dude.
White people can't tell us apart at all. Just shut
that is exactly right.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, and by the way, my grandparents immigrated here. I've never even been.
Right.
Nobody in my family even speaks Korean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But now I want to talk to you guys about the MyPillow thing. Has there ever been a bigger overreaction, insanity, nuts, crazy reaction to something like a guy saying, bringing up his faith?
A guy.
You guys, he literally violated the separation of church and state because he said God, and also he's terrible because he wanted to retool his whole factory, not make a profit, and make masks for people who needed them. He's literally the devil. He's horrible.
Well, yeah, no, and he likes Trump, and so obviously this is just Trump passing a favor off to his friend, and it's just a mutual.
You think he got the Medal of Freedom or honor or whatever?
I'm like, oh my gosh, this was an addict who recovered, found faith, which helped him recover, became found something that he believed in and wanted to create, became a millionaire, invests in all sorts
people.
Great things, employs people, and not just people. He employs people that have also gone through similar struggles. He employs single mothers. He employs former crack addicts. He employs people that have been on the streets for 10 years. I mean, he really reaches out and finds people that need the hand up. And he
actually walks the walk instead of just talking the talk, and they still hate him for it. But I guarantee you, if his God had a different name, nobody would have said crap about it. They would have been fawning. And I think we all know what I mean. And I'm not biased and whatever, but I think we all know, had he gone in there with another theology, another ideology religiously, nobody would have said crap, because then it's for both.
Well, yeah, it can't be Judaism or Christianity because they're anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I even think even if it had been Christianity and it was Obama, Trump said, I didn't know he was going to say that. Moving on, he just kept the thing going. I don't think the reporters would have brought it up. They would have said, well, Obama didn't know he was going to say that.
Let me tell you who would have brought it up. And it still wouldn't have been a knock on Obama. It would have been a knock on Mike Lindell. Who would have brought it up would have been the Daily Kos and the Voxes of the world. It would not have been headline news on CNN. It would have been the blogs that were like, man.
And what is up with Tom Nichols going after him? What the hell?
Because that guy is he's just anthropomorphization of a garbage fire with tires in it. Garbage fire tires. That guy.
just a wrinkly little penis with
Oh, I
glasses.
can't stand him.
I just don't even understand. And Bill Kristol even. What the hell? You guys, seriously, I don't understand. Trump broke them. Like, these were men that seemed to be at least had some dignity before. I don't know. They seem to at least have an ability to not be so crass and just
they were definitely anti-Trump, of course. We know that. They were never Trump. But
Bill Kristol was a long-standing piece of crap. Like, my views on Sarah Palin have changed over the years. I'm sorry, ladies. I was still a Democrat back then. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was busy. I had other things going on. Bill Kristol was, as far as I know, he was like Project for a New American Century. He shunted hot, sassy basket Sarah Palin in there with McCain. Like, Bill Kristol, he's got a long history of sucking balls. And we're not on Twitter, so I guess maybe I can say that. Hopefully I didn't go too far with that. But yeah, he didn't just change into a chode. He's been working on it for a while.
Yeah, so it was so disgusting.
It's just the way in which there's like this kind of, and I don't know that glee is the right word that was used the other day, but I mean, there definitely is some sort of, palpable excitement coming from people that want Trump to fail so badly that they are willing to, even though they'll tell you you're the one willing to sacrifice it if you want your freedom, but they are willing to sacrifice American lives or, just human lives in general, all across the globe, because they want him to look so bad and they want this to be represented in the election if we, even can get there. But
if we threw like Tom Nichols' grandma into a chipper shredder and he could twist that to somehow reflect incredibly badly on Trump, I think he'd be like, Nana, you had a good run. All right.
He probably would. He'd be like, you got to make a patriotic sacrifice here.
Yeah. I mean, Nana, you're 94. Like, it's time to go. And also Orange Man, so bad. So bad.
Hey, can I tell y'all a quick little personal story that I did not know about until today? So just in thinking about all this, and I know Auntie Vide just said that, you've like NYC has a chunk of your heart, has a huge part of mine too. I lived there, my sister lived there. Got so many friends there that I consider family, and some people have tested positive and they're doing okay, but it's just, it's very scary in some ways, and in other ways they're just having, kind of doing what New Yorkers do, which is order.
Yeah, the New Yorkers are like, I gotta go to the deli and get a sandwich. Shut up.
Or they're like, yeah, I'm going to have anything I want to deliver because that's my norm life. That's how it happens in New York. It has since 1990. So, but yeah, so we found out today from my, so I was talking with my grandmother about, I was speaking of grandmas, why this reminded me, speaking with my grandmother about, about all of this. And she's in a small rural town in Oklahoma, and she's just not really worried, but she's also being careful. But she said, well, yeah, I want to tell you, about your great grandpa. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, everybody's making all these comparisons to the different global pandemics that have happened over the years. And the main one that comes up a lot, that's more, sort of recent times, is the Spanish flu, the 1917 flu pandemic. And she said, your grandpa got the flu. He was a soldier and he was a horseshoer. And he was stationed in San Antonio. And then she said, and then he ended up having an appendix attack. And that is what left him susceptible to getting the flu. And so he's recovering from an appendectomy, which at that time was, you kind of had a 50-50 chance. Like, they could remove it, but they weren't so good at this surgery yet. Today it's like so routine, but at the time it was still pretty touch and go. And so he's recovering from that. He gets the flu that kills, like so many people. And he was actually in a tent hospital because that's what they did. They erected all of these tent hospitals out in fields far away from population. And so they would, often risk your life by taking you out to those. And they were mostly literally being pulled in a wagon where they're piled on top of each other with horses and just taken out there, put on a little cot in these tents. And it was during a time there was a lot of rain, and so that he would just hear the splashing of mud and water as the doctors and nurses like came and did their rounds. And it was just such a crazy picture to me to have in my head. Like, and then his appendix surgical site got gangrene, and they had to literally scoop it out of him to try to save his life while he's fighting the Spanish flu, y'all. Like,
these kids today have no idea, and honestly, most of us have no idea. But like these kids today, they don't even have grandparents or great grandparents who went through that stuff. They're like, I don't know.
Right. So he survived, and he was and then beyond that, another weird thing that killed a lot of people back then was a few years before that, he got scarlet fever and was out for an entire year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and don't forget consumption and tuberculosis and whatnot. Yeah. Like
his entire senior year, it did damage to his heart, which is found out when he was like in his 60s. But, there's just, I know this is scary, and but we do have like the best that technology has to offer, the best that medicine has to offer. We've got a lot of brilliant people that work around the clock, and so many companies that are trying to produce a vaccine. Look at how quickly American innovation turned out tests that are just so much quicker and so much more reliable than anything that was coming out of the rest of the world up until now. You've got people stepping up to make masks. You've got people stepping up to offer services, like My Pillow, like turnover factories to make ventilators. Ford and GM are doing that. That's incredible. There's so many things going on. There's so many wonderful people at work, very intelligent, the smartest in the world that are working on this. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that and what a positive that is in all the negativity that's surfing. Like, we are not in 1917 where doctors are trudging through mud and spreading germs to more and more people to treat you in a tent. That's not what's happening.
And we have the best medical care in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Our nurses and doctors and our hospitals, everything. It is amazing. And I honestly believe that's why we are still down there so far when it comes to, we have the most cases, but we have the fewest deaths. Or not the fewest, but like the ninth number, like in whatever.
And percentage-wise.
Yes. We're doing really well that way. So, well, hopefully next week when, it'll be 2 weeks. Next week is Sam and Orty. And then after that, hopefully by that time, we will see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel with all this craziness.
I hope so too.
Auntie Vodka, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Real Auntie Vodka. You can find me on KLRNRadio on Friday night at either 8 or 8:30. I feel like there was a time change maybe. But, whatever. Just tune in. We'll be there. It'll be cool. And I don't know.
It's 8:30.
I posted on Twitter, wherever else I might pop up when you guys are, kind enough to have me show up at your party. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. We enjoyed having you at our party.
I love it. Very, very sweet.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter, where everyone misinterprets every joke and, every sarcastic thing I say, at J Holmstead. And also check out Misfits Politics at Misfits Politics on Twitter. We're doing Misfit Mischief just happened tonight, but Misfit Gift Challenge happened tonight, but Misfit Mischief is on Fridays. So if you want to take your mind off the politics and have some fun and have some laughs and make some new friends, please come join us at 7:30. Well, I guess 8:30 Eastern. I'll say that 7:30 is my time, so I get used to doing that.
Time zones. How do they work?
I know.
I don't know.
I know, and
Who
I'm
cares?
always way off of everybody because everybody's always an East Coast person, and I'm all
It
the way
doesn't
over
even
here.
matter now. It doesn't matter what day it is. It doesn't matter what,
This
1
is
o'clock in the
true.
morning. If you guys are bored, ping me. Maybe we could do a show. You don't know. Nobody.
We're all trapped.
Away.
Yeah, we're all
throw your
trapped.
watch
We might
away.
as
It
well.
doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore.
That's what I said the other night, because I have so many people. I usually walk my dog about midnight before I go to bed, and lately I've had people so many people are out, like it's like the morning run before going to work. But now time just exist anymore. So they're like, fuck it, I'm up all night.
It's fantastic. I feel like we got to figure out a way to embrace this. And if we have a few more weeks, maybe we can do that. Maybe we should, you know what I mean? Like, we got to figure out, because it's going to end. Then we all got to go back to work, and it's going to suck, and we're all going to be bummed out.
Where are you at, Jody?
At APL Mom. You can find me there, and you can see how many people are angry with me for listening to the pressers. That's what popped up today.
Which is just stupid. The presses are exactly what they're supposed to be.
Just crazy.
Exactly.
Crazy. So
I like my food pre-chewed by CNN.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining us in the chat room.